The Halo universe is an interesting one, as it all started out with a simple first-person shooter game on the Xbox, and somehow exploded into this phenomenon even my mom knows about. While fans and critics alike argue whether or not it's a good thing, or a good waste of time, its expanded universe has more than warranted its fandom with its level of detail, characterization, and the variety of races and personalities that inhabit this universe. Halo Legends is a proud part of that expanded universe, telling 7 stories of bravery and survival. If this starts sounding like the Animatrix, there's a reason. Both Animatrix and Halo Legends are anthologies or a collection of stories. This is not going to be easy for me because I'm now having to look at 8 different stories. 2 of them are just 2 parts of the same one, and grading each of them for their own merit, and so this is going to be a long review. Fortunately enough, I do have a model I can go on. Thank you, Arcadian Phoenix, for your Animatrix review. Like Arcada with Animatrix, I'm going to review each of the different stories in the Halo Legends as if they were their own separate piece, which technically they are. First off, let's talk about the music. It's perfect. While the anthology largely takes its soundtrack from that of the games, it uses the best songs from the video games and puts them in the right places for added effect. However, there are a few original pieces, and I'll point them out where I notice them. In the end, 10 out of 10 for all of them. Sub versus dub is going to be a little different this time around. I'm still going to mostly compare her voice actors, so it's like who sounds better for the role on that regard, but because the only subtitles they have for this that I can actually read are for the hearing impaired, so automatically I'm limited to what the English track is. Normally I would listen to the sub and read the subtitles and see how well that fits with the English language and how well it was translated, then compare it to the dub. But as I can't read Japanese, Korean, Spanish, French, or Mandarin, and I think there's maybe 1 or 2 other language tracks on here for the subtitles, I'm just going to play it by ear. It's not necessarily going to be a bad thing, as I found that there were some Japanese voice actors who fit their roles better than the English ones. But enough of that. Time for the show. First on the list is Origins Part 1 and 2. Both origin stories are a history of the Halo universe told from the perspective of Cortana, Master Chief's personal AI construct that helped them throughout the first, second, and third game. During both pieces, she is looking at the history of the Haloverse, starting from the beginning of the Flood conflict to her current situation. Origins 1 talks about the Forerunners who, 100,000 years ago, were the most technologically advanced race in the universe. In fact, it is their technology that the main antagonists in the Halo games, the Covenant, get all their technology from. However, all this technology was not enough to stop the Flood, a parasitic race that consumed all sentient life in its path, turning what was left of it into its zombified warriors. All this culminates in the suicide plan the Forerunners did to stop the Flood, and how they repopulate the galaxy with the various races which you find in the Halo games. However, Origins 2 talks about human history, from the caveman era all the way to the current events of the game. Now, the main contrast between the 2 stories is the fact in Origins 1, it was praising the Forerunners for being a people of peace, but being forced to war to save themselves. However, Halo Origins 2 is a condemnation of humanity, as it seems in our short history that we are a creature of war, forced to peace to save ourselves. And when we do generally make alliances, it's so we can fight a few mutual enemies. Now, to pull both halves of the story off, Halo Legends gave the story to Studio 4C, which is famous for films like Memories, Spriggan, and TV shows like Transformers Animated and the up-and-coming Thundercats remake. After Studio 4C got the project, they gave it to Hideki Futamura, who actually helped out on the Animatrix's own two-parter, The Second Renaissance. On technical side, both parts of Halo Origins does an excellent job. Part 1 is more or less your typical anime, and while it has a lot of the characteristics and some of the other stuff, good and bad, that we find in most anime, it still goes above and beyond what its contemporaries will do today. However, it has to be said that Origins 2 has the best animation ever. The people look lifelike, they look so realistic, so organic. It's the best animation I have ever seen in my whole life, and this is comparing it to everything I've grown up with, watching the American cartoons, and everything I've seen in the last decade of my life watching anime. And this is the traditional hand-drawn 2D animation. We haven't even gotten to the CGI yet, which mostly appears in Part 2, but it's no slouch either. This is not like the CGI you see in most anime. This is good CGI. This is up-to-date, wonderful CGI. It's no Avatar, but what is? As for the languages, the English track is the superior, as the voice actress seemed to not only sound like the Cortana from the games, but actually he matched her presence, her strength, and her determination. This gave it a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. However, the Japanese voice actress, this her seiyuu, not so much. While I still gave it a 7 out of 10, she just didn't match that level of personality. She sounded way too cute for the character. I know Cortana is supposed to be like the Miss Fan Service of the series, but at the same time, that voice actress would have been done better with some of the later works in Halo Legends. Another problem that we have is we just have one person talking, and we're pretty much getting a lecture for 20 minutes straight. While not necessarily a bad thing, it doesn't allow for much characterization, and more importantly, doesn't allow for much replay value unless you want to catch up on some of the Halo universe. And much like the Animatrix's Second Renaissance, while it is visually appealing, you're still not going to want to watch it after a few times because it's just going to get boring to you. And it's a real shame, especially in this case, because Origins 2 does have the best animation in the film. The final score is an 87 out of 100 for Origins Part 1 and an 88 out of 100 for Origins Part 2. While this is still good, it's rather weak compared to the rest of Halo Legends.